It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, we have a crisis in the state of Pennsylvania. It's a pension crisis. And we have a governor who has some opportunities to maybe resolve this pension problem that we have. My guest today is the governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Corbett. Tom Corbett, how are you?
Good. How are you, Sam?
Good.
Nice to be back on. It's been a while.
It's been a while, and it's nice to have you on the show.
Yeah.
And
Love to get up here to Hazleton and see you.
We have, for years, we've been talking about facts and only dealing with facts, period, okay? Well, let's go back in history a little bit, if we could. Remember Attorney General, I interviewed you before you ran for Attorney General, and you said, Sam, these are some concerns we had in the state, and sure enough, after 4 years, Tom Corbett accomplished those things. Then I interviewed you again when you were running again for Attorney General. I said, Tom, well, Sam, now we have this, and now we have this to do, and boy, you accomplished that. Now you run for governor, okay? What were some of the main concerns that you had before you ran for governor?
Well, when I was running for governor, I was telling everybody, including you, that we had a $4.2 billion deficit that we were going to have to deal with. We had an increased spending in the prior administration by almost $1 billion a year when the revenues did not match the same thing. We didn't have a budget done on time. As you know, we're responsible to have a budget done by the end of the fiscal year, June 30th, and we had never had one done on time during that period of time. And in fact, we had gone through some tax increases during that period of time, and it was really hurting us economically and with the ability to attract businesses. I think in the month before I took office, unemployment in December of 2010 was 8.2%. And these were all things that we needed to do. But my #1 concern was to bring jobs to Pennsylvania.
Okay, so now Tom Corbett is elected governor, okay? And you know what you did? You accomplished what you said you were going to do, okay? So my question is, and I want to talk about a pension because I was at your meeting this morning, which I thought was fabulous because you were able to explain something. But you accomplished that, all right? So I don't understand why we have the criticism of Governor Corbett when he says to the Commonwealth, you know, we were going to do all of these things, and he did them.
Well, the one that really surprises people. So I said we're going to live within our means. We can't spend beyond our means. You have to live with the revenue that you have. Everybody at home, businesses, all set a budget, and they live within that budget. And the budget's based upon what revenue do we have coming in, what do we have to do, and if we have any left over, then there's some of the nice to haves. Well, you know, where would we like to spend our money? And unfortunately, in the prior administration, we weren't operating that way, and the legislature was passing budgets that just continued to increase the spending and went beyond the revenue. All the funds that were in other areas were taken away, and any rainy day fund we had was gone. And when you come in and say, okay, we're now going to balance the budget based upon the revenue we have, and we had to reduce the budget. We reduced the budget for the first time that the budget of Pennsylvania was reduced in 50 years. We reduced the size of state government for the first time in 40 years to its lowest level in 40 years. And we didn't reduce it by firing everybody. We reduced it through people retiring and a handful of layoffs out there. But we reduced our spending. We went in, asked the people who work for state government, led by my administration, led by my cabinet, and I have a wonderful cabinet, where can we save money? In the last 6.5 years, those people working in state government have found efficiencies or saved money to the tune of $600 million. It's exactly what you have to do in your show if revenues are down. Where can I save it? How can I do something better, more efficiently, save money, so I either don't have enough revenue to do it, or now I have a little more revenue to hire maybe somebody else to get involved. So we really applied business principles to government. You can't run government like a business, but you can certainly take some of the business principles. And #1 was we were trying to save that money, but project where we're going to be a few years down the road. Well, when you start telling people that voted for me that we were going to do this, when it affected them directly, they kind of say, well, I didn't mean you to affect me. We want you to affect other areas. Well, it affected everybody because when spending is reduced, people got less money in certain areas.
The next show we do, I want to expand on some of the things you said. I was talking to Lynn Lawson a few weeks ago, and I said, you know, it's funny, when you're a good parent and you are raising your children the proper way, sometimes the parents are not popular,
right.
Okay? Until the children get older and they say, oh, wait, I'm glad my parents were that way. Here's Governor Corbett, I hear, well, he's unpopular. I don't know, you know, where you're unpopular. I know the other side wants you to be unpopular. But here's a person that said, again, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I accomplished. And sure, it's not a popular thing. However, the pension, we know the pensions. But one other thing before I get to the pensions, which is a serious problem. When you're talking, I want to address in the next show education, because that thing really, like, I don't know how you
Sure.
feel, but I get really excited about this when people tell me that stuff. But you know, they handed you a 4-point, the Rendell administration, the Democrats said, hey, congratulations, Tom Corbett, you're the governor. Oh, by the way, here's $4.2 billion that you have to pay
Right.
that we put in debt. And you did it how?
We did it by savings, not by raising taxes. We had two alternatives.
Exactly.
You could either look to where you could save and cut your spending.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, the federal government took away quite a bit of money because it was stimulus money that was used in the budget, and that's the discussion that you want to have in education. And you can live within the amount of money that you have. I made a promise in the campaign of 2010 that we were not going to raise taxes. I've kept that promise. In fact, in the last 3.5 years, working to try and save people money and save taxes, reduce taxes, we've reduced taxes almost $1 billion across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for small family businesses, for the family farms. We've reduced the capital stock and franchise tax. Actually, went back to following the law. We didn't suspend it as the prior administration did. We went back to following the law. We increased the ability of new businesses to have a net operating loss by a couple $1 million. We also took the corporate sales tax, the corporate net income tax, and took a very complicated formula that penalized businesses for hiring people, increased their taxes the more people they hired, took that away, and based your sales, your corporate net tax based upon your sales and your sales only. That saved businesses here in Pennsylvania $1 billion. Well, when business saves $1 billion, they're now able to invest it
Yep.
in new equipment.
Yep.
Oh, they're purchasing new equipment from a vendor somewhere nearby. They're able to put it into salaries. They're able to hire new people. Maybe they're able to put some of that money into civic corporate contributions to various regions and to the United Way or something like that. So it actually stimulates the economy. And as you know, we see the economy coming back in Pennsylvania.
Folks, I'm talking to Governor Tom Corbett, and we're going to come back and talk about a serious situation, the pension problem that we have. But why can't we get the gas companies to pay for this? Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, anytime, any place in the world, ssptv.com. My email, sam@ssptv.com. We're talking to the governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Corbett. So, Governor, we have a serious problem. I was at your meeting this morning, which I thought was really great. You had a nice crowd, interesting of the people that were there and the cross-section you had. Why is this pension problem such a grave concern to every citizen in the state of Pennsylvania?
Well, when we talk about the pension problem, we're talking two different pensions. One is the pensions for state employees, the judiciary, and the legislature. The other one is for all the teachers in Pennsylvania. That's called PSERS. When it comes to the teachers of Pennsylvania and for the employees of Pennsylvania, because of mistakes that were made in the past, 10, 12 years ago, in the funding formula, because of the lack of putting money in when they were flush with money, they should have put more money into the pension system. And because, as you know, we went through an economic downturn, Wall Street went through a downturn, and a lot of money is invested in there from the state employees retirement system and the state teachers retirement system, the funds went down. We have to fully fund them. At least we're supposed to fully fund them. When I entered office, they were funded underfunded by 48%. It's now up to 50% $48 billion underfunded by $50 billion now, because that continues to grow, because we're trying to make payments that in some cases weren't made in the past. Well, in regard to the teachers, we have a payment to make. The school districts have a payment to make also. When the state makes its payment, it comes from all the tax revenue that we receive, corporate net income tax, personal income tax, sales tax, and so forth. When the school district makes a payment, it comes solely from the property tax in the school district. And we see growth in their payment by thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars over the course of particularly the last 5 years, but the last 10 years. There are some school districts in Pennsylvania that have to increase their property tax millage higher than they're permitted by law without having a referendum of the electorate. But there is, in law, there are 3 exceptions to have the referendum. And one of those exceptions is pensions. So they don't have to have that. Well, I think there's 2 school districts here in Luzerne County that have asked for the waiver, as it's called, from the Department of Education, and were given that they can raise their property tax above the index on the property owners of Pennsylvania, and particularly here in Luzerne County, in those 2 school districts. Well, what's important about that is it's the property owners, it's the homeowner. The homeowner who's had to sit and come up with a budget and live within their budget. The homeowner who is maybe looking to buy a new home, and all of a sudden they look and they ask, well, what are the taxes there? And they decide they can't move there because they can't afford the taxes. Or how about the homeowner that is now living on their own pension? And they're living home. There was a woman who told us a story today, actually yesterday. She lives in her home, she lives on her pension, and now she's paying a higher property tax to help pay the pension of somebody else, and losing the value of her home, her equity in there, in order to be able to pay that personal or that property tax in her location for that other pension. So it continues to grow at astronomical rates and will continue to grow that way for the next 20 years. We said we need to fix that. There's been proposals. I issued a proposal last year, tried to get the House or the Senate to introduce it. It was very aggressive, but I thought very fair, because it was forward-looking, but it went back to what the formula was back in 2001. But people were saying, no, you can't do that. We'll be sued. We're not going to do that. Nobody got interested in it. There have been a number of other bills out there. And today there's one, Representative Tobash from Schuylkill County has an amendment to a bill by Representative Camp from Chester County, I believe, that would have one system that would help somewhat if we may take savings up front, but it's only the beginning of the process. We're very close on getting it passed in the House and the Senate. Didn't get it passed. We're about 8 votes short in the House and about 3 votes short in the Senate. But it's all Republicans voting. The problem that I see is this isn't a Republican, this isn't a Democrat issue. When you look at a property owner, you look at a homeowner, when you're asking them for their taxes for functions of government like schools, you're not asking them, are you Republican or Democrat? You're just a homeowner. Well, the legislature and Republicans and Democrats should be doing the same thing. They should say, we're going to try and help you. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. We need to take a look at this, because otherwise you're going to see property taxes for all the homeowners continue to rise every year. As I traveled the state the last 6 months, watching school districts work on their budget, the number one item that was driving the cost of the budget up was property tax.
Okay. Now, a couple questions. Number one, we heard today Dr. Antonelli saying from 13.5 million in the next few years it'll be 20 million. Okay, and who's paying for the tax? Property owners. What are the?
But keep in mind, you pay for it twice.
Yes.
Because the state's
right.
copying. If it's $20 million for his school from his school district taxes, it's also $20 million from the state from the taxes we also tax you.
So what's the opposition? I mean, what are they telling you? Why are they saying nope? I'm not going for this.
Well, there's a couple things. One, there's not a problem. My opponent says there's not a problem. And you probably have seen some commercials we've run where he's filmed. There's not a pension crisis. Tell that to that person who's living on a fixed income that is having a difficult time continuing to pay every year the property tax increase. Or to the young family who's just barely making ends meet, but their property taxes continue to grow. Or the family that's trying to put kids through college, and it's getting harder to put kids through college, and now their property tax continues to grow. Tell them that there's not a pension crisis. Okay, so that's one area. There are some members that are clearly being influenced by the leaders of the teacher unions here in Pennsylvania and the public sector unions. It's the leadership that I believe is out of touch. You know, a lot of people say, well, I don't like education. Yes, I do. I was a teacher. My wife was a teacher. You know, I have many friends, good teachers, good friends. I believe in teachers. I do have a difficulty with the leadership of that union in not coming to the table and saying, we realize there's a problem. We need to get into the 21st century. Like they have, if you look at the trades unions on the private side, many of them have switched over to a 401k style because we cannot continue to pay the huge benefits that we pay when it comes to a public sector pension.
We come back, Governor, I want to talk about why aren't you taxing the gas companies? Okay. They can resolve this problem. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. My guest, Governor Tom Corbett. Okay, so we have this problem with pensions. So I'm hearing ads saying you don't want to tax the gas companies. You know, this problem could be resolved, Governor. Come on, tax the gas companies.
Those ads are totally wrong, and they know they're totally wrong. They're misleading the people of Pennsylvania. And in fact, those who've been calling for that for the last 3.5 years know that they are misleading the people. Sure, you could add a whole new tax on an industry that right now is bringing in and has supported over 200,000 jobs in Pennsylvania. It has kept the economy up. It has grown the economy. Yeah, you could add a brand new tax on top of the taxes they already pay. Because you never hear them say that they pay taxes, do you?
No.
Well, they say, well...
In fact, I thought they didn't pay taxes.
Absolutely. And I guarantee you the vast majority of the people in Pennsylvania probably think they don't pay any tax. Absolutely wrong. You know, every major corporation in Pennsylvania pays a corporate net income tax. So do they. They also pay a sales and use tax when they go out and they buy equipment. That's 6% sales tax that you and I pay when we go to the store. They pay that. They pay, their executives pay their income tax. Their workers pay their income tax. There's other taxes that are mixed in there. Since 2008, the industry, which is still in its not quite infancy, toddler stage right now, has paid over $2 billion in taxes. So when I hear discussions like that, be truthful with the people of Pennsylvania.
Who's behind those ads?
Give them the facts. Well, there's a lot of people. The one ad you're seeing right now is actually an ad being driven by a organization called NextGen that is being totally funded by a billionaire who made his money in oil and gas, and now he's saying, oh, gas is bad. Well, gas is safe and gas is clean, and it's providing jobs. Who's from California? And he's doing it on behalf of Mr. Wolf, the millionaire opponent that I have. I'm talking about the jobs of Pennsylvania that they're trying to affect. The ads are wrong, flat out wrong. And so what you need to take a look at, though, more importantly, when we talk about this is, let's assume that we put a 5% tax on. Let's round it off. Let's assume, as the Democrats in the House and Senate say, we could get 500 or 600, let's use the number, $600 million each year from the gas company. Okay. Well, right now, because of the pension crisis, we need $610 million new each year. So this year we're just starting fiscal year 14-15. We need $610 million on top of what we've been gathering for the last 3 years to pay the pension. So there's $610. We tax the gas company, that's $600 million this year. Well, it's going to be the same $600 million next year, right? Except we need a new $600 million next year. So now who's going to pay that? You're going to raise the tax on the gas companies to get $1.2 billion from them? I don't think so. Okay, because you're going to see jobs go away very, very quickly. You're going to see the industry start to pull back at a time when they are creating, along with the other companies that are looking at coming to Pennsylvania because our low cost of energy, the lowest it's been I mean, we've reduced it by 40% in 10 years. We're not going to harm the overall economy just to continue to raise taxes on one industry. So the next $610 million, they're going to have to tax you. They're going to have to tax other businesses. And if they tax a business, they're taxing you.
So you decreased the energy cost. You created
So the energy companies
the energy
decreased.
companies, okay, but I mean, you brought them in, and they're paying taxes,
They're
which I
paying
never
taxes.
thought, because some tax them.
Well, and in addition, you know, we forgot about one thing. They're paying something in addition on their own, based upon the Marcellus legislation that we had paid. They're paying an impact fee.
Yes, I forgot.
And that impact fee,
5%, isn't it?
well, I can tell you what it brought in. Remember when Governor Rendell was still governor, he said, you know what, if we tax them, it'll be $100 million a year.
Right.
Well, we did an impact fee. In the first year, it was $200 million. The second year, it was about $210 million. This past year, it was $226 million. So over $636 million in taxes that didn't go to Harrisburg. The impact fee was directed 67% to the counties. And the counties can use it directly, pretty much any way they want to, under a menu of items that they were allowed to do it under. To share with the school districts, to share with social services, to do economic development in their areas, to build roads in their areas or repair bridges in their areas. Because if you take it to Harrisburg, what happens? Everybody gets their hands into it. I thought that the counties who are being affected by the impact of the natural gas with the trucks and everything should receive something there. And the companies have no problem doing that. If you talk to the County Commissioners Association, Townships Association across the state, they don't want to see that go away. Well, that would go away if you added a tax on top of it. That money even goes to counties that don't have natural gas in it, even to the county of Philadelphia.
So Tom Corbett, here's what you did. You got $4.2 billion debt when you took office. You cleaned it up without any taxes. You increased money. You created jobs. You did everything you said you were doing, and you're unpopular? I don't understand this.
I don't
Folks,
understand
I don't
it
understand it one bit. So we are talking about honest people. We're talking about honest government. I hear it all the time. We need these politicians. They're all a bunch of liars. We get a person who says, I promise you this, this, and this, and this. And they do it. They do exactly what they tell you they're doing. And the state, according to what I heard this morning, I don't think Tom Corbett would lie, we're in the best shape. We're surging, right?
We're surging. The economy is growing. Jobs are coming. Remember that 8.2% that I said of
Yes.
December 2010?
That was the unemployment rate.
That was unemployment rate. It's now 5.6% statewide.
Wow, you did that
The
good.
lowest since 2008.
Yeah, you did that good,
Yeah.
huh? But you're just the bad person. That's why they're after you, Tom. They're after you because you're successful at what
That's
you're
exactly
doing.
right.
You promised the citizens of Pennsylvania, and they don't like that.
That's right.
Talking to the government. Yes, go ahead. Joe.
I went to Harrisburg as Attorney General, as the outsider.
Yeah.
I told them when we were going to change it, we were going to change the culture there. We're still changing the culture now as governor. That's what they don't like.
My guest, Tom Corbett. We have part 2 coming up, folks, in the near future. Remember, you want to learn anything, don't have anyone tell you how to vote, please. If you want to vote for Tom Corbett, check the facts. Check what he's done. If you don't agree with him, vote for the other guy. Check the facts. He has a record, the other guy has a record. When you check them, if someone's honest with you, you know what the deal is. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.